When your brain's a bit fried, I get you.
I walked down that side slip road and it was closed off the road and it was pissing it down.
Yeah, it was messy.
And my first reaction was, and I thought, breathe. Let's practice some gratitude. Perspective. I'm turning up to a podcast of which I am essentially being paid for to speak to my friend about a job that I love to do. So today's a good day.
Yeah.
Today is a good day.
I actually had a similar moment like that too. I was kind of sitting there like, just because in and out of work, things just add up, pile up, and then when it stacks on top of you, you kind of just, it's easy to, I mean, I hate to use the phrase crash out because it's popular right now, but I guess it is the phrase to use. You kind of crash out a little bit, your brain just short circuits, and then I sort of had that moment of clarity where I was like, you know what, this is great, this is calm. I'd rather be doing this than anything else. So not immediately in that exact same moment, walking down that same side road, but just, that's kind of been my general sentiment this week actually, because I've just had a lot on my plate. I was delayed in putting my Dustin Poirier video out because it took a monstrous amount of time to finish. Kind of bit me in the arse because it's now not performing well because I missed the boat. But I literally said to myself, I was like, what's the point of getting mad about it? We may as well move on to the next one because there's nothing else I can do. There's nothing I can do about how that video is going to perform now, really. So just let it happen. And that's what I've been doing. So already moving on to the next. I'm currently working on, I've mentioned doing it before, and I have done it before a long time ago when my video style was completely different, not as good as it is now, and that's a proper video on Lee Murray and his story. And you know,
Nice.
There's like an open goal for a video if it's done right, and I think that's the difference. Last time I didn't do it good enough. This time I think I can make...
How?
I think the problem was, one, my writing skills, editing skills, ability to stitch cinematic sequences together, everything that encompasses what makes a good video on my channel. I didn't have those skills back then, and also that video I made back then was not as good as the other Lee Murray videos on the platform right now. And I think now with my skill sets, I can do that. I can create the best video on him on YouTube. So that with that in mind, I think it would just do well. I could be wrong, but it's a video I want to make as well. And I feel like that's something you can't forget. Is you have to have a certain element of your decision-making with regards to ideas. It has to be part of you, of what you want to do, just as much as what YouTube is, how well it's going to do on the platform in terms of viewership. So, and it ticks both of those bills, I think. I think it's got good potential. So many ways to frame it in the video packaging. I don't need to tell you that. For those of you who don't know, he's a UFC fighter turned bank robber in the simplest terms. Also knocked out Tito Ortiz in a street fight. Pretty crazy. So no brainer to do a video on him. And then after that, I don't know. We're just going to look ahead. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. Goldfish brain in terms of stressing about things. Just trying to ignore it and keep going.
That's all you can really do. Just take some of the things that you did well and maybe the things that you can improve, move on to the next one. It's what I always say. I've had this thought recently. It was when I was actually just buying some shares, but I was looking at the share graph and then I realized that it's a great metaphor for life because you have the different options when it comes to a stock graph of a week, a month, a year, 5 years lifetime. And when you go into a month or you go into 2 months, you see very high peaks and very low troughs. And it's just constantly this volatile spiking and then crashing. And then you zoom out a little bit and it's a little bit less volatile. And then dependent on what share this is, of course, but you zoom out more and then you see just this small increase over time. And I feel like that's a good way to sometimes look at life, especially with what we do, and it's applicable to what anyone does. When you're in the weeds of it every single day, it's easy to look at these events as catastrophic or amazing and very high highs and very low lows. And that's in the 1 month graph, right? It goes like this. But when you zoom out, you realize, like you said there with your previous video, it's a minor dip in the general scheme of a 10-year span. So it's important to just kind of zoom out and see that overall graph. As long as you're trending up, that's the main thing. It's not a case to just, okay, do whatever and forget about it and not make adjustments and not progress. No, but you do also have to have, like you said, a goldfish brain to a certain extent where you can just prioritize what you need to moving forward. But it's been a while since we chatted. What you been up to, maybe professionally or maybe personally?
A bit of both, yeah. Professionally, yeah. No, again, launching the Patreon, building that out. Still early days, and of course, it's kind of annoying that my videos aren't performing well. The last two I've done now, which is fine in the short term, but it is frustrating because it coincides with my Patreon launch, and you want to get as many eyes on that as possible. But already got a few people signing up. One against someone who's on my $20 tier, which is crazy to me. Providing value with that, we spoke all about providing value, what you can provide at those higher tiers. So obviously looking at creator masterclasses, stuff like that. So I'm going to record a complete thumbnail masterclass this weekend. I'm doing like reaction content now once a week. Little things here and there.
To what?
Just whatever people request, or whatever I feel like doing.
Yeah.
Because the great thing on Patreon is you're not bound by copyright. Again, grey area.
True.
So I can react to all the UFC fights I want to react to, and to break them down, talk about them in the way I feel passionate about. And it's a nice change of pace for me. Again, still trying to balance that out along with other stuff like the games channel, which again, I've been neglecting. That's something to work on. But the Patreon is the focus right now on top of the main channel, and just really working on these bigger projects. Because this Dustin Poirier video, my God, it took me far too long on the edit. Jesus Christ.
Why?
I think I underestimated how... I mean, lengthwise, it was... The original rough cut was about 37 minutes long. It ended up being about 32, 33. But there was cinematic sequences, because obviously the way my video is structured is you have these, the bits with me talking, progressing the narrative, and then these big cinematic moments which are like 1 to 2 minutes long, sometimes a bit more, with the fights, right? And the build up to that, how people talking about a certain fighter, etc., etc. And those bits take a long time to perfect. In the way I do them, they take a while because there's so many layers with music, commentary, searching for certain sound bites. So you're trying to find a specific bit from a specific podcast of Joe Rogan or something, talking about Dustin Poirier in a certain way, or Chael Sonnen doing the very same thing. It adds up a lot of time. And I've tried to cut that down with ChatGPT, but again, it's not perfect with finding sources just yet on that. Like when you're looking for specific sound bites, it doesn't work as well. Sometimes it just makes stuff up, straight up, makes up quotes.
You have to tell it.
Yeah.
You have to tell it. You are wrong.
Yeah. And that was really pissing me off because I was like, where's the quote? So you end up searching for ghosts at that point. So again, there's a lot of factors which go into it, which just add up the time. And that's on me to an extent. I think I should be at a point now where I can see the scope of a video as I'm making it and be able to work within those sort of margins and deadlines. That was something, I guess it's a learning lesson. It's just fine. I think the upside of the Dustin Poirier video is it allowed me to, in being late, it allowed me to just add the Holloway bit at the end. So I can add a full, concise ending to it. So hopefully that adds to it potentially in an evergreen side of things in the future. I don't know. Maybe that's wishful thinking. But yeah, I've been building that out, just working on these longer projects. And obviously in personal life, things are stressful, but good. Yeah, got into a relationship, which is pretty interesting, fun. The only annoying thing is, not annoying, that sounds bad, but again, the way my brain operates is it's hard not to... my brain space is constantly active, so it's constantly thinking about things all the time, whether that's work or whether that's relationships, and that's partly to do with OCD and stuff. So that makes things difficult. So that's actually had a knock-on effect on my work life, and trying to balance that out and sort of bring myself back to the mindset I was at before with work, with having, just putting the same amount of attention as I was before, or the right amount. I don't really know what phrase I'm looking for there, but you understand what I mean. Not allowing my brain to get too preoccupied in mental loops and ruminating and stuff like that, because it's the constant battle for me anyway, whether it's work, whether it's relationships or anything.
Do you feel like when there's another person that that sort of obsessive compulsion attention that would usually go into work, then get split into two people almost, one being the job, one being the person, and then you feel like maybe you're not putting as much energy into one thing, whatever that may be?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it is naturally like that. But because again, that's just a natural thing anyway that people without OCD would do, in the sense that, relationships require effort, they require attention in the same way work does. So your priorities are inevitably going to be split to a certain extent. But with OCD, it's obviously just negative attention. It's negative ruminating and thinking and nothing productive. So it's just about learning to deal with that in a different way. Because with work, I'm better at it, but with relationships, it's always been a difficult one for me. Just like dating, relationships in general, OCD is tough with it. And I actually, funny enough, on the way here, I saw that clip of Nathaniel Wood, the fighter, talking about it, about how he doesn't have to think about OCD whenever he's in the cage with fighting. And I think I mean, I can relate to that to an extent when I train. That's why I mentioned that before. When I train, it feels like a liminal space where my brain is switched off and you're thinking in a fight or flight mode, perhaps to a lesser extreme than Nathaniel's, but the principle is the same. So that's always been a nice outlet and still continues to be for me. But it's also just about learning and improving and getting used to it, which I'm doing with regards to a relationship. It's just difficult. OCD makes things tough.
The reason I asked him that question because that was the clip from when we did a food fights episode and we were just eating pizza. But the reason why I asked that is because I know that, again, these compulsive thoughts, you can't necessarily control them. That's what people don't realize.
Yep.
They just enter. There's not a door that you open for them. They just smash their way through. And the reason I asked that question to him was I didn't know if he had those whilst he was in the cage, because I know even personally, if I've played sport before, cricket, for example, I would sometimes in my head, I'd be thinking, you're going to get out, 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 hit six, hit this particular shot, like premeditate way before anything, like terribly so. And I just was interested to see if that translated for him maybe into fighting, where, to give an example, it would be, right, knock him out now, uppercut, knock him out.
That's a good point.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's people out there that would be the case for, but he said that weren't the case. And that was where he was, like he mentioned, truly peaceful and he didn't have those thoughts and he did enter an interesting flow state. And what was interesting off the back of that is he said the time that he probably didn't have that was in the name of fight, where he had the complications with his daughter was being born and she had some health complications and he's in Dubai Abu Dhabi this is going on and they're back home. So there's a lot of things behind the scenes as well that a lot of fans sometimes forget. And it is easy, and obviously we're all guilty of it. We just see a performance and we say, it was bad. And this is why it was bad.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to appreciate the full nuance of a situation, of a fighter. But that's all sport as well, by the way. That isn't just particularly MMA. That is all professional sports. Because, of course, we just get to see the 1%, which is usually on the weekend. But there is a ton of stuff going on behind the scenes. But talking about behind the scenes, obviously we got a lot of fight news to jump into. I think probably the natural place to start would be the UFC heavyweight champion of the world. Two-part question. Were you surprised? Are you excited?
Surprised about the fight announcement? No. Not really. And if you don't know, Tom Aspinall, our British undisputed now by name heavyweight champion of the world, is fighting the Frenchman, Cyril Gane. Is it 321?
No idea.
Yeah, UFC 321, I believe, October. And no, I'm not surprised in the slightest. And the reason I say that, I was literally thinking about this last night when the fight got announced, or was it yesterday? The day before yesterday. And I was sitting there and I was looking, this is a common topic of conversation that comes up in my stream all the time, is just the state of the heavyweight division is so poor. And no, I'm not surprised, because he's one of the only guys in that division left in that top 15 alone who's even remotely marketable and, more importantly, has a slight chance against the champion. That's the reality of it. Do I think he's going to win? No, I don't. I think Aspinall's going to knock him out. Everyone's talking about he needs to get a submission. No, I think Aspinall's going to put him away on the feet.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be close.
Yeah.
People made the same mistake against Pavlovich. They said he don't want to stand with Pavlovich. He knocks him out then. He's knocked out everyone he's faced, pretty much, apart from Arlovsky, who he submitted. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that is true, which is a crazy thing to say. But again, not surprising.
Volkov.
Right? Volkov he submitted, that's right, arm lock. Yeah, straight arm lock. So pretty much everybody. He's finished everybody,
He's
correct?
finished everyone, yeah.
Yeah,
well, he's not left the second round.
Yeah.
So he has to have finished everyone.
Shortest average
by
fight
definition.
time in the UFC. Yeah, and I'm not surprised about the fight result, the fight announcement, in the sense that Gane is marketable. He has got good European pedigree, so does Tom Aspinall, so there's definitely an obvious push there.
Yeah.
But I think the reality is there's just no one else compelling. No one is compelling enough in that division at all. I mean, the only other argument you can make, and I sort of was playing devil's advocate on my stream saying this, I was like, well, maybe if Derek Lewis gets another knockout win, you make that fight in the sense that because it's marketable and Derek Lewis is a big fan name, that's the only reason why. The only other fight to make is John Jones, and we know that ship is pretty much sailed, despite his.
Let's not.
Yeah, we're not even going to get into
Let's
that
not.
because that ship is, as I said, it is sailed. That chapter is done. The book has been written on that. I don't care what he says about a White House fight return. Dana shut that down. Good. Get that man away from the heavyweight division forever.
I think the last couple of weeks, just on that very, very briefly, but the whole conversation was around, will this damage his legacy? Will people remember this? And
I think they will.
My take on that was usually people forget fast. Next generation will come around pretty quick and it will get swept under the rug. Doesn't seem like that's the case, at least short term. It seems like this actually has had a real damaging effect. And as we know, the sport is a what have you done for me lately? And the lately is not very good. The lately is long time on the sidelines, lots of annoying rhetoric online from himself about the fight, and then obviously not getting the fight, retiring, and then going through his whole White House thing.
No idea.
It really has rubbed a lot of fans, including the bosses, up the wrong way as well. They, like you said, they shut that down instantly, which I was kind of thinking, wow, this really kind of goes to show that some damage has been done, and I think he'll be very aware of that. But circling back to the Tom Aspinall thing, I'm very rarely this bullish. I'm very rarely this bullish.
I'm riding with you because I know what you're going to say.
In any division. But I look at the heavyweight division. I look at Tom Aspinall. I look at his skill sets. I look at the skill sets of the other competitors. I cannot see a world in where the next 12 to 24 months, unless he slips on a banana peel in the octagon, he loses to anyone at 265 pounds. I just don't believe it's even close to possible with the probabilities.
Even with the fine margins of heavyweight. I agree.
There is no fine margins of heavyweight.
Yeah, you're right. We talked about this. With some of the guys like Derek Lewis, there is. Let's not kid ourselves.
Derek Lewis,
most knockouts in UFC history.
Sure, right? Sure. But my point is this whole narrative of it only takes one at heavyweight is bollocks, actually. It's bollocks. Go back to Cyril Gane's fight, and I'm a big fan of his style. Love his Muay Thai days where he's flowing, double switch stance, boom, teep off the back leg.
He's not a super hard hitter though, is
I
he?
love it. Doesn't hit hard, doesn't plant his feet, doesn't layer up his combinations, doesn't hit particularly hard. And although he does flow and he is incredible, he's got nice elbows, nice knees, but you watch him punch, he'll windmill a big right hand over the top, and that can have merit because if you don't see that coming and it clips you, sure, but he doesn't really plant his feet and he doesn't really hit that hard. And I just imagine when he does root himself or he does enter range, because sometimes he bounces in, that's what got him taken down against John Jones. That's where he's had a couple of issues before. I can just see him bouncing into an elbow, bouncing into a knee, an uppercut. Right. Yeah, a little spike elbow. There's just so many attacks that Tom will put there for him to worry about. And it's going to be very difficult to just circle. It's going to be very difficult to circle along the cage for 25 minutes because Cyril Gane likes that lateral movement. Tom's too clever. He'll put a left high kick on your exit, so you have to respect that. Then he'll put a right hand on your other exit, and then he'll square you up on the octagon, blast double, and now you're on your back and he's going to submit you. I cannot see a world in where Cyril Gane wins, and I'm just being bullish on it, and I cannot see a world in where anyone else in that division beats him. Not because he's English, not because he's the champion in Britain. To a certain extent, I don't care that much about that. I'm just talking pound for pound. The heavyweight division is in dire straits. Rant over.
We've been saying that though. This isn't a new topic. We have been saying that he doesn't lose to anyone in that division. And anytime there's a new talent coming in, Taliesin Teixeira, he goes and bloody loses. I'm like, come on. Who? Curtis Blades, and Tom said this himself. Curtis Blades was his hardest stylistic matchup, and I fully agree with that. And he made that look like a joke. I'm sorry, there's no one. You're right. There's not a man except from John Jones, and even then, I don't think that's close. And I don't care what people say. I'll be bullish on that too. I think Tom would knock him out easy.
Jailton Almeida.
No, he's too small.
He is too small.
He's not getting taken down.
He is
by
too
Jailton
small.
Almeida. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he is.
Tom would be able to defend that. Everyone talks about Tom's ground game being a weakness, but that's just because he's knocking everyone out. They don't even see it.
Yeah.
The guy started doing jiu-jitsu. He's a jiu-jitsu fighter first.
Yeah.
He doesn't. It's just there is no route to victory.
Yeah, that's his strength. And sometimes you'll get heavyweights that are anomalies that can grapple. And by grapple, I mean they did some wrestling in high school and maybe to a decent level post high school. But aside from that, You don't really get grapplers in MMA, decent ones, in heavyweight at the moment. So a lot of these guys, even if they can sort of... Curtis Blaydes is a good example. Decent wrestler. Does he have submissions? Not really. Is he going to sweep someone? Like, probably not, unless they're terrible. Probably not. But Tom does have submissions, and he does have offensive grappling, and he can wrestle, and he is athletic. So you just look at it and you think, what else is there for him? But I think he's going to go out there and knock out Curtis Blaydes. He's going to go out there and knock out Cyril Gane. I'll tell you the exact fight to make. There is only one fight to make.
And is this a compelling fight, or is this?
This is a compelling fight too, as compelling as you can get, right? Contextually
can
compelling.
I guess?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say. Alex Pereira.
Of course, Alex Pereira. It has to be Alex Pereira.
Yeah.
I know that we've had a slight stumble in the road because he lost that momentum against Ankalaev, right? But also, if we kind of cast our minds back, he was fighting week after week after week with injuries, not a crazy amount of a fight camp, loads of media, traveling the world, training on the road, no routine, your sleep schedule's messed up, you're doing seminars, you're getting pictures left, right and centre, and then he has a close, maybe he could have scratched it on another day fight with Magomed Ankalaev. So he lost a bit of steam, but I look at that fight before that. If he goes and knocks him out, the fight at that time was him to go up to heavyweight and fight John Jones or Tom Aspinall.
That was the speculation now, until the other day.
And also, I know people will think I'm crazy, but the conversations around that time were also, well, what if he goes into boxing and fights Usyk? Which, by the way, now is actually even less crazier after Usyk's just knocked out Dubois, because there's even less people for him to fight. So I'm not entertaining the boxing conversation just now, but that was the trajectory he was on, right? Middleweight champ, light heavyweight champ, boom, defense, boom, defense, boom, defense. That was the path that he was kind of on. But now you look at it and think, well, if he goes out there and flatlines Ankalaev,
perfect tee up, isn't it?
Of course, like I know it's a little. People would say, well, but what about that division? And then he would have to go back down. He has to go up to heavyweight. He can't be going down to light heavyweight too many times. The guy's too big. He walks around 230, 240, like very naturally. And I think that's a great division for him. I think he flipping knocks out a lot of the people at heavyweight.
Oh, yeah, mate.
I think he'd be 100%. More powerful and more dangerous. People are like, but the grappling. Who the hell is going to be able to out-grapple him at heavyweight? For the most part.
Gelson, I made him, but...
Do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not so convinced.
No, I don't know.
I think Alex Pereira, like the grappling narrative, I'm not saying he's a savant, but I think the narrative is a little bit overplayed. When have we really seen him dominated? We've seen him taken down by Jan Blachowicz, but we've also seen Jan Blachowicz, black belt, on his back for a good few minutes, stayed safe, got back to his feet, won the fight.
He keeps it simple. I think that's the difference. That's why people don't talk about it too much. Is he'll defend quite a few of the takedowns. If he gets taken down, he doesn't take a huge amount of damage when he's on his back, when he gets into those negative positions.
And not
like
really
against
even
Jury,
close to submissions.
Yeah, no.
So he stays safe. And that then poses the question, sure, some people may be able to wrestle him, like Curtis Blaydes, I imagine, would go out there and try and wrestle him, but what happens if he gets back to his feet twice? And then boom, he hurts your leg and you can't really shoot off your takedown. And now your takedown's not really there. He's seeing them. His arms are quite low anyway, so he's got good, nice down blocks. Stuffs a couple of takedowns. You don't have much submission offense. Now you're standing with Alex Pereira and you're a little bit tired and you've got half a broken nose.
But is that fight with Aspinall even compelling in the sense of... I'd like to see it, to be fair. It is compelling. I would watch it.
More compelling than anything else we've got on the table.
That's very true. I guess, yeah. I mean, you're not wrong.
And people will sit there and say, but this and this, and it's like, okay, what's the alternative?
Yeah.
Probably Derek Lewis, right? It probably is Derek Lewis.
Fucking hell.
No, but that is the truth.
No, I know. It's just the most depressing thing. I think the problem with Tom is when all is said and done, and I have little doubt he'll go down as the great... I mean, I could very confidently say he'll be the greatest heavyweight of all time, and he'll be in the GOAT list for sure within the top. I think he'll end the top 10 of all time, top 5. And I think the only downside to that is he's going to suffer from the same thing that Mighty Mouse suffered with, is that you're so good and so much better than everyone else. I mean, to be fair, a lot of these heavyweight guys aren't that great, but I think it's probably more of a case that Tom is just so much better. He's just levels above.
I do need to address the obvious point, which is of course, there's one heavyweight which makes sense that the UFC could make tomorrow. Francis Ngannou.
Oh, yeah. But people are going to hate me. I mean, are they? I think this is a pretty fair opinion. I think Tom knocks him out as well. Honestly, I do. The greatest respect to Francis, after covering his story,
on that.
I find it hard how you can not say that, in my opinion.
Because he's got a crazy chin, firstly. He does. I don't care that he got knocked out from Joshua.
Well, does he anymore?
Well, that is a fair question. It is a fair question. I'm not saying that it isn't, but historically, he's had a great chin.
Does he? Has he? I can't remember the last time he's taken a seriously big shot and
Stipe Miocic?
Yeah.
That's why Stipe rushed in. Because he clipped him and his legs buckled a little bit.
Yeah.
Mate, look at the size of his flipping head and neck.
Yeah, true. I don't know. Mate, I know, but this is Tom Aspinall.
Rocked because he's never been rocked. Well, for the most part.
He's been laid out, yeah. But I think Tom's got a far better power than Stipe. I don't think that's even remotely close. I don't think it's even a debate. I think Aspinall hits pretty much as hard as Ngannou does. I don't think people want to... I don't think that's a crazy take, mate. It's not.
I think it's a little bit of a toasty take.
Is it?
Yes.
Think about Aspinall's resume with his finishes.
You're getting...
I get what you're saying.
You're getting technique mixed up with power.
Sure, okay. I'm middle ground then.
Speed, timing and accuracy.
Well, who's more dangerous?
There's a better question.
In terms of getting a knockout. Tom Aspinall?
There's a better question.
That's what I mean. He is, mate. He is.
I don't know. I think if you went down the entire top 15 of the heavyweight roster and you said, who's more dangerous with striking? I don't care what the real answer is. Everyone's going to say Francis Ngannou.
Sure,
and they'll be
wrong.
more fearful of it, right? Which is an important factor. You have to remember that because that factors into it. If someone's fearful of your strength and you're 6'6", terrifying, flipping Cameroonian geezer who just like walks like this and he's built like a brick house, then it is just more imposing, right? Where Tom isn't quite that, but his accuracy, his speed, and his timing is just so pinpoint. I don't think he hits particularly hard at all. And I know that those punch machines are not the best things to go off on. I'm actually not talking about the numbers, but if you just watch the sheer power of his punch, it's night and day between Francis and Ngannou.
It's
just
power,
night
power.
and day.
Sure, but I'll say this. I don't think this is a crazy take. I think Tom does Francis quicker than Cyril Gane. I think he knocks out Ngannou quicker than Cyril Gane. Just stylistically. People might not want to hear that, but I think that's just factual. I do.
I don't necessarily... Yeah. I don't necessarily think that's the craziest take, but at the end of the day, I don't think we're going to find out, which is a shame because we could. And the UFC can make it tomorrow. There's nothing to stop them saying, okay, it's Francis Ngannou, Tom Aspinall tomorrow.
What? I mean, they'd have to re-sign him. Can they do that? And when he's on the contract? I don't know the ins and outs of that. That's the only reason I'm proposing the question. But
they could make that work. If Francis wanted it and they wanted it, which I don't think either of them do to a certain extent, not France doesn't want that fight. I just don't think he wants the headache, the relationship.
Yeah, I think so.
He probably would to a certain extent.
I think if the UFC offered him the liberties he was asking for before he left, then he'd do it.
Yeah.
I think that's still what it comes down to. It's he's always been a man of principle. I don't think that has changed.
He has, and I definitely sit on the side of Francis Ngannou with all of the things that went on and how they sort of treated him, even with getting his marching papers before he's about to walk out or getting a lawsuit before he's about to walk out. That's wild, right? Wild. And he's got one leg.
And he fucking won.
Yeah. So, and out wrestled people. And people was like, that's the worst performance ever. I'm like, that's the best performance ever. That's literally one of the best performances from his entire career. He goes out, gets a lawsuit in the back room as he's warming up. He's got one leg, torn his LCL or MCL or whatever it was, goes out against former teammate, former opponent, someone who's got tremendous movement, and then has to lean on his wrestling, of all things, which we never saw. So I do think that is super impressive.
I love that fight though. Now I'm thinking about it.
Of course. And
that's exciting.
And that is the only fight to make. And I think if we're talking about wrestling, the only fight to make, naturally we segue into the bantamweight division where there's a very interesting fight actually at 135 pounds, because that is a very different division to heavyweight, where there is a guy on the top who is phenomenal, but there's also a lot of people below him where on any given day they could just snatch that crown. So Corey Sandhagen and Merab Dvalishvili has been announced, which I think is, it is the right move. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I mean, you're right in terms of the standard of the bantamweight division. I think Merab is having the opposite, direct opposite. It's not even a problem. It's almost a blessing in disguise
100%.
when it's all is said and done, because you're talking about Merab's legacy. If he continues to do what he's doing against the level of competition that he's facing and making these guys look that easy, I mean, there's a reason people are talking about Merab being one of the GOATs already, despite the fact he's only got 2 title defenses in the UFC. That speaks volumes, because everyone that he's beat in the run-up to winning the belt, and of course since he's become the champion, it's just ridiculous. The resume is probably, it's one of the best in UFC history, and also the manner of his victories as well. He's just neutralized everyone. Yeah. And to be honest with you, as much as I love Corey Sandhagen, and he's one of my favorite fighters to watch, and I don't like to use MMA math, but if you look at the Umar Nurmagomedov fight, he kind of just got outworked in the cardio there and the pace, just out-grappled just constantly. That was really the story of that fight when those two clashed. Corey had some success on the feet, but Umar would just kept getting the takedown and kept just stifling any efforts from Corey. And Merab is a guy who's going to do that tenfold. He's got the best cardio in the UFC, in UFC history. And that's not a debate. It's pretty much just facts when you look at every one of his fights. He can keep going. And I think against Corey, he's going to keep doing that.
To play devil's advocate, and I'll jump back into Merab in a second, but to play devil's advocate on what you said there, I listened to Corey talk about that fight, and one thing is for certain, every time he loses or wins, he definitely learns and he definitely evolves. And that is one thing that you have to say for Corey Sandhagen. And he said with the Umar fights, he went in there with the mindset of not getting taken down and being a little bit fearful of the wrestling. So not only does that tire you a little bit more, but also restricts you a lot more with your striking. And he's always someone that's very fluid and transitions between stances and attacks and layers them up differently. So if he's saying if he's identified that mistake, that's very good news, because the problem people have against Merab is they get froze by the takedown, and rightfully so, because he can do that for 25 minutes. Now, it's easier said than done, but if Corey can go in there and not have that thought in his mind of, I can't get taken down, that's already a major win, because you will get taken down, whoever you are. So you have to mentally accept that before you get into the fight. And it's more a case of what are you going to do after. Let's not worry all camp about takedown defense purely. Let's worry about, right, our back hits the mat, what can we do? And if we think about hitting the mat on your back, what can we do now? There's not really many more skilled and intricate fighters in MMA than Corey Sandhagen. You've got Ryan Hall in his corner, one of the smartest minds on the whole 50-50 game, right? You've got a leg lock specialist. And the reason that's important is because it offers a threat to get someone off of you. It can offer as a sweep, but it can also offer enough fear to then at least get a bit of panic, get separation and get back up. And I think something Corey does very well is he's straight inverting, boom, he's straight attacking. Then he's sweeping, then he's standing up. And he's got the fitness to be able to, right, do that or land some elbows and then get back up. And he doesn't just close his guard and get stuck there. So it's not an easy assignment, but I definitely think Corey has all of the skills to beat Merab. But the last thing I'll say, going back to your point, what Merab does better than... It almost makes you think of the GSPs and John Jones to a certain extent. The thing that Merab does so well is whatever you're good at, he doesn't necessarily take it to the opposite style like a GSP did. Oh, you're a good grappler, I'm going to box. Oh, you're a good boxer, I'm going to grapple. What Merab does is he just brings you to his level. And he just neutralizes, like you said, your skill set to where he just forces you to fight at his fight. He forces you to strike when he wants to strike and grapple when he wants to grapple. And he just gets everyone to fight on the same pace and the same tempo as him. And then they're responding to his questions. And if you've got a man like him leading the dance and asking the questions, you have to have a lot of answers for a long period of time because you know it's going to be 25 minutes. So...
With that being said,
I am leaning towards Merab. But if anyone was going to do it from a skill set, it would have to be Corey Sandhagen. It would have to be.
I was actually just watching some, after that got announced, I was just watching some fights back of his, just out of curiosity, just to sort of refresh the brain. And apologies. There was that moment when he fought TJ Dillashaw, and Davey Grant actually did this, who's also flying with success. Triangle. Yeah, it was a I think inverted triangle.
Yeah.
I've tried something like that, not in that exact context, but hitting a triangle from that sort of position, it's just wild. And it's exactly something that Corey Sandhagen would need. And you talk about the leg locks and stuff, sort of opportunistic grappling. That's what the phrase I always like to use a lot. Something that Ryan Hall's great at, Charles Oliveira, another. That's the route to victory for him. Is really the only way, because you're not, I think the reality is you're not going to win a decision against him. You're just not against Merab. You name a route to victory there where you can outpace him and outwork him for 25 minutes.
I can tell you.
Please.
I can tell you.
As I try and fix this mic stand.
The problem that Merab has, and I would say that he doesn't have a lot of weaknesses. Apologies.
You're good.
Merab doesn't have a lot of weaknesses, but the one chink in his armor, if you like, is he does have close fights from time to time. And what I mean by that is sometimes the fight isn't necessarily close, but the rounds are close. And that can be quite an issue if you have someone like Corey Sandhagen, who not only has a plethora of weapons, but also has the ability to really land with some force. Things like knees, I don't think he's going to use as much because he may just get toppled over and taken down. But his longer range striking, it just gives more visual to the judges. And Merab,
that's true.
There's a few fights that Merab's had that he could rock up on a different day, and the judges are just looking at things a little bit differently, and he doesn't get the rounds that he gets.
I mean, the Umar fight was razor close. Well, let's not get it twisted. Everyone talks about it being dominant and Merab being very dominant, and for the most part, he has. Sorry to just cut you off there, but it is true. Calling back to that fight, what card was it? I don't even know now. I do know. I think it was 311. Again, this is what editing does to you. You know, every pay-per-view. It was co-main of 311. Makhachev, Moicano, or Sarukin. It was the co-main of that, and it was a very close fight. Very close. I mean, there's no disrespect, because Umar Nurmagomedov is... No one wanted to fight him for very good reason, and he's clearly top level after he beat Corey Sandhagen, so there's no disrespect in that, but it was a very close fight. 3 rounds to 2, and people make the argument that Merab's taunting in those last couple of rounds actually won him the rounds on the scorecards, and I actually kind of subscribe to that sentiment
100%.
because he got the crowd riled up, celebrating, cheering. Yeah. It's little details like that. I think back to a good example of that in, not exactly the same, but when Paddy fought Jared Gordon. Obviously, a lot of Paddy fans in the crowd. Every time he landed a shot, there'd be a lot of cheers. Not a lot for Jared Gordon when he was landing flush with that left hand. And that was the difference maker in those scorecards, in my opinion.
People, firstly, interesting point, in Muay Thai, that does score with the judges. Taunting and showmanship, that scores. So, obviously, I'm not saying the judging's the same, but it just is an interesting point. But second to that, a lot of people don't realise, a lot of people do not realise that the judges are sitting cage side on different angles. And not only is it the worst vantage point ever to watch a fight, I can't feel more passionate about
number one
this.
hater.
I just don't understand why this narrative isn't stronger around the MMA community, because there's a lot of people that corner, there's a lot of coaches, there's a lot of fighters that have sat ringside, have sat in corners, have been in the octagon, like been near the octagon or the cages. I don't get why more people don't bring that up. I just don't hear anyone say it apart from myself for the most part. And also, they're watching it with their own eyes in live speed. It's just the worst way to watch it. I can never work out why they're not in a room. But regardless, my point is, naturally, it has to play a part, right? The audio of the crowd or even the reactions. You can be a fantastic judge. You can block out noise. You can be dialed in. You can be like a fighter where everything kind of blurs out and boom. To a certain extent, you cannot unwire a human brain to hear loud reactions for one thing and not much for others. And also, it's confirmation bias. If you see a good shot when you're watching cage side and something lands, and then you can hear the audio and you can hear the crowd, that confirms that you saw the shot, right? But it works the other way. And it works the other way. So, yeah, that's the only sort of thing with Merab. I think he has to... But with all that said, he did that in his more recent fight with Sean, right? Well, this is the thing that we actually have to remember.
Good point.
More damage in those positions and more threats. Like when he got to the front headlock position.
He went for it and he got it.
He wasn't just stalling anymore. He was going for submissions.
Bravo choke? I can't remember. Was it Anaconda? One of the two. It was one of the two. I can't remember if it had arm in.
It was a front head.
Did it have the arm
choke.
in or no?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
It was from my.
They're all very similar.
Yeah, I've not got a tremendous amount of knowledge.
I know the difference.
There,
I just can't remember which one
it was. Like a ninja choke, flattened out. Some people called it a anaconda. Some people called it. I've saw like a.
Or anaconda.
Guillotine.
The difference between a Darce and an anaconda is
the arm.
Yeah, it's the direction you're coming in from. So Darce, you're shooting in from underneath the arm to the neck, and then anaconda is from the neck to the arm. So you're going, shooting in from the neck and then onto the arm where your hand comes out the other side, and then ninja choke / Bravo is where you're just on the neck. So it's the same grip, just on the neck,
which is pretty much what it was, right?
Yeah.
So that's the difficult thing as well. Now he started adding a finish to his game, or finishes, and a bit more urgency and even more confidence. And also, I feel like he's had a little bit of a break now as well.
Yeah.
Where I don't know if that's actually a good thing or a bad thing for him, to be perfectly honest, but he's even probably had a little bit of break. His confidence is on high. And now he's coming against Corey Sandhagen, who, as much as I love and as much of a fan as I am, every time he's got to that upper echelon fighter, he's lost.
Yeah.
And I believe he's as skilled as all of those guys, actually, to be honest. The Umars, the TJs, everyone. I believe he's equally as skilled as, but he's always lost. He's always lost. That's just a fact.
Sure.
And Merab hasn't. And you go through his resume and it is obscene, the level of talent and legends.
The amount of former champions. It's absurd.
It honestly is insane. And we look at the best resumes ever in the UFC, and that most certainly is one of them. So I am very much looking forward to that fight. But in regards to the recent news, what else did you have off the top of your head?
Well, I actually wanted to double it back to you because I think bringing it back a little bit full circle, we're talking about catching up. What's been going on with you? Because you're always very busy. And you said but just before we jumped on that, pretty hectic day, which I don't think is out of the ordinary for you in this day and age, I would say. But yeah, what's been happening? Obviously, you got Thailand. That's a thing.
Yeah, Thailand in middle of September, and pretty much from now until then, it is just all systems go. I have a week booked for my mum's birthday, which is at the start of August. I come back and then I go to Wales to do some work.
I'm going to Wales.
My friend in a retreat I doubt you're going on to the Welsh farm, which I am
camping in Wales.
Yeah,
yeah, but when are you going?
It's a friend's nan's cottage. I'm going on the sort of like 15th or something.
I'm 10th to the 16th. I'm out there.
I'm just going to make sure I avoid you.
I'll be in some field in a tent.
I'll be in Wales there. Where will you be? I'm not giving you my coordinates.
Mate, don't worry. We're going to be out in the middle of nowhere.
No, but I'm going there to do some work and have a workout with my friends and whatnot, and help him out. We're potentially looking at sort of creating somewhat of a MMA / Muay Thai sort of retreat out there. He's got saunas and natural plunges and things. It's quite a cool experience. So I'm going out there to do a little bit of work and sort of do a little recce on that. And then Shanghai, go to China. Shanghai for Lon's fight at the end of August. So I've got the whole fight week there, then go to Shanghai, then have to jump on a plane straight back home for toe wrestling.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, and toe wrestling just signed it's one of the biggest sponsors it's ever had. I don't know if I can say how much, but tens of thousands of pounds. And we also now have confirmation on the prize fund as well, which is the 10 grand prize fund. So now we have the biggest prize fund ever in toe wrestling history. We have the biggest sponsor, Vivo Barefoot. It's quite a well-known company in the footwear space, and it's all systems go on that. And that's a tremendous amount of work, a tremendous amount of work between myself and the team with the marketing and actually getting everything ready, getting the stages sorted, the live streams, like so many levels of details to the toe wrestling, which obviously we all have to take care of and all do our bit with that. So trying to balance my business, my personal life, the toe wrestling, I still feel like I'm massively treading water and still playing catch up. I'm getting better. I'm getting better at being more organized than I've been previously.
That's good.
I'm getting better at kind of seeing what a week should look like for me and how I should prepare. But then on top of that, it's why I said about the fighters earlier. When you're bouncing about different places, okay, I'm in Northlook, and then I'm in Shanghai, and then I'm in Derbyshire.
Settle and grind.
No.
You just can't do it.
And I'm tremendously grateful. Let me preface that, right? And I always said I want to travel the world and work, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So I have to be cautious with how much I sort of, not vent, because I'm not venting, I'm just painting the picture, right? But as you know, when you're on the move so much and you're in transition so much, it's very hard to, like you said, I honestly love waking up, having a workout, getting an electrolyte, getting an iced coffee, putting my headphones on, and just sitting at my desk until it goes dark and just smashing out work.
I think we're in directly opposite positions here because I this is literally the point I was about to make is I've got too much of that.
Yeah.
So then this is what I've been struggling with. I actually would say I've regressed in terms of my standard of work. Not in terms of the standard of work. I think the quality is there. It's just taking longer. Yeah. And maybe that's the product of me underestimating how long some of these projects are taking. I think there's an element of that. But equally, I know I can do more and I have been more motivated in the past. So it's a balance thing. So I think we're on just opposite ends of the scale in the sense that you're doing too much of being about everywhere and you want to get those times where you can just sit and grind and, you know, really crack on. And I've got too much of that now where I need to start balancing it out a little bit more.
Yeah.
What that looks like, I'm not sure. Still trying to figure that out.
I don't think it's any secret for you. We've spoke about so many times where you just need to diversify a touch.
Yeah.
And it's not diversifying you want to now put a ton of time into different things. No, you just need to open up a couple more avenues for yourself.
Yeah.
You know? Just so that you can sort of have that mental freedom almost. So you're not just at your desk every day. Because if that has been the case for me before, and you do go crazy.
Yeah,
and
just editing.
100%. I've had times where I've literally looked at the calendar and I've been in my house for 2 weeks. Like actually not left the house for 2 weeks. I've worked out in my house and I've slept and drunk not really enough water and just worked the entire time. And now obviously something that you know better about in regards to the YouTube game, I then started putting more time and attention into that. And that's actually been leveling up now. So I don't really care for subscribers, but obviously subscribers are beginning to sort of grow. But then I monetized the platform. And then as soon as I monetized the platform, I thought, okay, this is where it sort of opens up, right? The Pandora's box. I got a little bit excited. So I started putting a bit more time and effort into that. Started putting a bit more time and effort into the editing, being a bit more intentional with how I'm recording things and what I'm putting out and when I'm putting it out, having consistent days. Before, I would just go to Great Britain Top Team 4 years ago. I would barely get any footage, not get any sound bites, terrible footage as well. And then I'd have to kind of piece together something at the end. Some scraps and try and create
it's more
a story. Of course. And now it's much more intentional. And now what I'm actually seeing for the first time in 4 years. So that was the first time I recorded an episode was 4 years ago. And now for the first time, what I'm finally seeing is brand recognition. People are coming into the gym and wanting to be on the episodes. People are wanting to see if they're in this week's episode. Consistently now, they're not just getting 800 views, they're getting 1,500, 2,000. Now they're consistently at like 3,000 views every single video, which is not crazy in the general scheme of things. But when you go from 200 consistently and just here and there, maybe 500, to now every week, boom, 3,000.
For that series
5,
as well.
000.
I don't think people understand it. Not saying there's anything wrong with what you're doing, not at all. But I think, but you're doing it the hard way. This is what I say about a lot of creators. It's more you're organically building that audience from basically zero, and that's such a difficult thing to do. On the long term, if you can persevere enough, the long-term rewards are much better because your floor is so much higher than everyone else's. That's I'm not, with what I do, I've never really been at that point, hence why my viewership still remains so volatile, video to video. There is still a gradual baseline, which I'm building up, but with what you're doing, if you fast forward a few years down the line, you're doing a GPTV every video, every week, and then it's getting a certain amount of views, and there's a core audience there who are there for that, and you always have that. It's always something to fall on. That's why I thought about bringing back my Casuals Guide thing, series or moniker at the very least, just the name for the videos. I'm still flirting with the idea because it always had a core viewership, and people always were coming back to saying, why don't you bring back Casuals Guide? Why don't you bring back this? And it was like, yeah, maybe I should.
You have to. The reason you have to, or even if it's something else, is because I believe whatever your brand is, you need to have a core offering that people know every week. If you do a video every week and it's a storytelling piece and it's a documentary piece, people will know that style, but that isn't
It's not just me.
You couldn't name that. You know, how would you name that? You couldn't give it a name.
I don't think it has to be named. I think
doesn't have to be named, but my point is...
It's branding. It's branding.
Yeah.
I actually spoke about this with
it's
a couple
ambiguous,
of people.
right?
Yeah.
It's ambiguous. You can't put it into a bucket and call it something.
It needs to be recognisable, whether it's the packaging or it's the title, whatever it is, or the series.
Exactly.
Per se, it needs to be recognisable as you.
Yeah, exactly. And your videos are, if people go into them, they watch them and they know your style and your thing. But like you said, other people make videos and watch style and that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
But you also need sort of a pillar within your business or your brand where people go, oh, I know you because of that. Casuals Guide. And that's when people go, oh, you the Casuals Guide person? And then they'll say, oh, are you, what's Leo Kuba? And then they'll go, oh, you're Leo Kuba. And then 12 months later, they'll go, oh, are you Leo Kuba? I watch all your videos. And that's how it builds, right?
Yeah.
And you said about, this is something which is important for people to know, is you're 100% right. Because when I started everything in this MMA game, I knew that this is the slowest, longest road to possibly create a brand from scratch, all around, not just yourself, but essentially from zero, right?
Mm-hmm.
Zero leverage of organization or brands to a certain extent, because obviously you've got fighters' names, so there's a part of leverage. But by me saying, hey, like, I'm the brand, and hey, this is GBTV, and that's a TV show that you're going to love, that there's no episodes and it's terrible, and you can't actually even hear anything, or the camera's very shaky and things like that. It takes a very, very long time. And now I'm 4 years in, and I'm just here and there getting someone coming to the gym and going, oh, I watch every GBTV episode, or people quote things that they've seen in the videos, and now I'm starting to just see that it's becoming entrenched to the culture. And as I always guessed it would, I believe it's going to be, I've always seen it as this weird cross of kind of like SBTV back in the day and Charlie Sloth and like a black box and a fire in the booth. And I know it's not the same, but this booth is just fighting, and people go into there and they have their sound bites and their ad libs and their clips as well. And it's kind of a voice of the streets in London for MMA. And it's just hard to build that from scratch because it just takes time
and skills to build, right?
And skills, and also relationships as well,
of course,
which is flipping a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, I actually have a suggestion for something for GBTV I think you could do. Only just as it just came to mind for now is, I don't know if you'd be allowed to do this at the gym, but if you could have a pocket of space where you could set up just for those sound bites where you're recording people, obviously it would be slightly less organic as of just talking to them while they're on the mats or whatever and getting them to get a couple words in. But like in the same way that the Ultimate Fighter do it, well, and a lot of reality TV does it, where you can have just a pocket room to record in, proper lighting set up.
I like that idea.
Almost have it blackout.
Yeah.
And you can just have them
like
in that
The
liminal
Office.
space. I haven't watched The Office, but I know what you're referring to. Yes, but do it in a more... you could just do it more organically like that, but I would say have like a proper just like blackout room with some nice lighting. So just for those sound bites, those video sound bites. I think that would be cool.
I really like the idea.
I understand...
The only complication with that, I'll tell you the complication with that is you have the athletes. So I get there at 10 and that's when practice starts. And for the most part, people turn up at 10, like, or just before, right? So they're just frantically getting ready. Some people are just kind of locked in, they're getting in the zone a little bit, which I get, and then they're training. You can't really pull people out of the session.
Yeah, it's not.
Which is difficult. So, but what I had been thinking of, and I actually had a windshield, which is what you put on mics, for anyone that doesn't know, and I got one branded with the GBTV on it, and I've got a mic, and I was just going to start doing kind of exactly what you said, but on the mats and just a lot less friction of I just have the mic and just kind of maybe ask them things or get small sound bites where the mic's in it as well, just as like a little way to break it up and get a different kind of feel to the video, because I definitely think that could
because
really
I feel like stuff like that adds that layering
100%
to it, so you can just have that
100%.
nice blend between the organic on the mat moments, then you have like a soundbite over the top
Yeah.
and then sort of cut back to them actually talking on video.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, there's so many avenues.
Yeah,
You
there
can
is.
visualize it, right?
And also
the
we've
thing.
got Alfie Davis fighting for the PFL final for $1 million, $500,000 actually.
Mad.
So
much. There.
I've just been filming kind of a specialized episode just for him. But now it is a little bit more pressure because pressure is maybe not necessarily the right word, but 4 years ago, if I went to the gym and I didn't really get any footage and whatnot, I remember thinking, no one knows if I don't post, or like no one cares. Like no one's messaging me like, where's GBTV
Yeah, it's
this
expectations,
week,
right? Isn't it? That's the thing with YouTube.
Yeah.
It's weird.
No one messaged me 4 years ago like, where's GBTV, or is not out on this day, or no one was sad that it wasn't there. But now people are tuning in weekly to watch this episode. That now it's kind of, I'm locked into this, that I have, like you said, there's an expectation for me to deliver one of these a week. And obviously with me going to Thailand as well, logistically it becomes tricky.
GBTV goes global.
Logistically it gets tricky.
I don't know how you do that, but...
Well, I know how I do that associated back to the gym is I just have to go there more times per week and create a bank. And then when I go out there, I have a bank.
Right.
So if I'm out there for, oh my goodness, if I'm out
How long are you out there for?
a couple of months.
Really?
Yeah.
Blimey.
Yeah, a few months or
Yes,
something. Yeah. Why? How long did you think?
No, I thought it was like a month. Or just,
Oh, no. Once I get out there, I don't want to do that flight back for a minute.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I do not. I remember that I did it.
Yeah, and I already have to go to Shanghai, then fly back a week later,
Mate.
and then pretty much fly back out to Thailand. Again,
Grateful.
super grateful,
But yeah,
but
you
don't
just
love
made sure to
don't love
preface
the
that.
flights. Don't love the flights whatsoever, and I don't do fantastically well on them. Being a tall person that doesn't sleep,
don't envy that.
so it's not fantastic. But it really isn't the end of the world. I can get kind of locked in a little bit, so it's not too bad. But yeah, I'm gonna be out there for a couple of months. I'm starting to already line up work out there. I've already had a lot of good conversations. Someone I know very well, you know, Paul.
Yeah, of course.
Bald Paul. He now works at Bangtao as their sort of head guy on YouTube. So
Really?
yeah, he's out there now working at the gym, and obviously I know the boys that sort of own that and run that. So we've had many conversations about doing things together. And also this time I want to do it a little bit differently, where I'll go to a little bit more of the authentic. Before the last couple of times I've never really cared too much about Muay Thai, but now I'm infatuated by the sport.
Really?
And it's completely infatuated by it on so many different
I did love
levels.
it when I got and went and saw it. It was great.
So many different levels. The culture around it, the languages around it, the food, the traditions, the gyms, the people, the techniques, the sport itself. There's so many different levels that the history of it all as well, by the way. It's just insane. So I think this trip is going to be a little bit different with my content, because before I'd gone to a couple of the super gyms and kind of like taken some content, but this time I think it's going to be a little bit of a mix up where I really get into the weeds of it all. And I'm really excited to actually make some YouTube videos on it, because even when I did the other day, like it didn't do like crazy well or anything, but it did better than any other videos I used to post, like when I just had an idea of the... Oh, it's 100%
I know,
addictive.
this is what I mean. It's
addictive.
new. I know, like, I don't want to say it's new, but it is with the monetary context for you on YouTube. It's new.
No,
right?
it's the game has started now.
Yeah, it's
the game has
exciting.
started. I've done YouTube for 5 years with my personal training and then my Casuals Corner. I've done it for 5 years collectively, and I've just monetized it. And now it's it's almost like I've never posted a video before.
Right. But I
It's
think
completely new.
that's the opportunity to start to learn. Because I
Yeah.
feel like I'm not going to sit here and big brother you or anything, but like, you know, I mean, in the sense of like, I've been down that road of that sort of neuron activation, the dopamine here. And you have to an extent, right? It's just on a different platform. But I feel like with YouTube, it's its own beast.
It is.
To an extent. It's very easy to get caught up with things. Very easy.
It is.
And I don't blame you. And we've spoken about this at length before in terms of managing the expectations and being able to deal with it.
And
but
I do agree with you, and you are right. But because I've had so much practice with
yeah, I don't doubt you'll be
other
fine.
platforms, and it's more the case of now is not really, I'm checking my graphs every second, and the extent is I'll look at how much I made from the previous day in the morning. That's the extent of it, right? So I just wake up, and then when I'm doing my
I don't even look at it anymore.
When I'm doing my daily morning errands, I've only just had it for sort of a month and a half. So I'm just looking really to start gauging what does an average month look like and what does an average, more from that perspective.
As I said, I think the best way to put it is it's like your stocks, isn't it? It's like a bank account. When it's doing good, you really want to check all the time. When it's doing not that great, you don't want to touch it at all.
The truth of
That's why I don't touch it right now.
But with stocks and shares, is my whole portfolio, I
gotta get some money in there, man.
I haven't dollar cost average. That is the only way you should be investing. Like, I don't want to sit here and give you prescriptive answers but if you're someone that thinks, okay, and I kind of want to scratch that itch a little bit, dollar cost average. Dollar cost average is a very, very simple term. DCA, it basically works out how much money you can physically afford and want to afford to lose. Basically, that's the mentality you should have, to lose every month. Is it a fiver? Is it 40 quid? Is it £100? Is it $2,000? That's for you to work out with your own expenses. Yeah. But you work out what that number is, and then each month you just invest that into whatever you wish to invest that in. That's what I do personally. That's usually a fail-safe way of investing.
I should probably do that. Mine just slaves away in a bank account.
Dollar cost average. Yeah, bank account's like one of the worst.
I know.
Even if you had it in like a FTSE 500 company, which is, if you put into the American stock market, it's like 7%. I think it's 7% on average or something. Sometimes 9, sometimes as low as 4, but on average maybe about 5. So at worst, and a bank account's not even remotely close to that. But circling back to what I was saying about the YouTube anyway, so that's obviously activated. It's more a case for me with that is the reason why I want to smash that is because that's just an extension of my retirement plan, because media compounds and it's infinite, right? If I make, as we know, if you make an evergreen video, then that can earn indefinitely.
History of the OC video is still earning me money.
I've told you this before. I'm going to say it again. You are not posting on Facebook.
I know, I need to do it.
Mate, Facebook money is starting to
How do you get monetized on Facebook?
Really flow in. Like,
really?
Like, I'd never looked at my Facebook. It was connected to my Instagram. So for people that don't know, you can't monetize an Instagram, but you can monetize a Facebook, which is strange because it's a meta. If I were to guess, I would guess that the demographic is more favorable for advertisers on Facebook. Sure. Hence why they do it there. I'm guessing, I don't know, but I'm just guessing. If I didn't mention, I'm guessing. So what I would say with that is it was just attached to my Instagram and it would auto post some of my Instagram posts. And then weirdly in the middle, it just stopped doing it, which was a bit frustrating. But long story short, I look at it one day and it's on 7K. And I was like, 7,000 followers for something I've never touched. I was like, that's crazy. And then I thought, okay, I'll start looking at it a little bit more. Next thing I know, it's at 10. Then my friend tells me, he's a creator and he's one of those people who goes to Carnaby Street and does all the street interviews.
Oh,
and
I think
like
that's
Mr. Inbound.
Yeah,
Mr. Inbound.
Yeah.
And his stuff's really starting to blow up now as well, which I'm happy to see. But what he's fantastic at is networking and getting to know people.
Not surprised.
Yeah.
Good talker.
Yeah, exactly. And he looked at me one day and was, Will, I've got a couple of friends that were telling me about Facebook. It's crazy. And I said, how do you mean? He said, he's making 6 figures a month. And obviously that's it's like any platform. There's extreme examples, right? But it piqued my interest because I thought I didn't even know those were the conversations that could be had. And then I start looking into it. And the CPMs are essentially YouTube CPMs for the most part, which I found kind of insane. And then I don't know what the monetization policy is. That's what's difficult. But I hit 10K and then I was just consistently uploading and being more intentional. And then they just invited me to the thing around 11K. Right. Okay. So I would guess it's something around 10,000 or something like that. I'm just guessing. But again, like I said, it said, oh, you're monetized. And I hadn't been posting any content to Facebook, like none at all. The cross posting wasn't even working. And I'd made 60 cents or something. I
remember you saying.
Or $1. And I remember thinking,
so has that gone up since?
I haven't done anything for $1. So I thought, that's great. Like $1 a day for nothing. That's like me saying, oh, do you want 30 quid every month? Or it's actually less. But do you want 25 quid every month? It's like, well, yeah, because that can pay for my Opus subscription or my Canva or my Premiere. You know, that's how exactly. That's how the creator world works, right? And you just think, okay, yeah, 20 quid's actually really helpful because that can cover that subscription and that subscription and that. And you can start leveling up, but also just taking care of your costs. And then I thought, $1 a day, I'm not doing anything. So I thought, okay, I'm going to start posting more and things that I know have been successful on other platforms. And then, oh my goodness, before we wrap this up, I've got to put people on game because I started posting more. Then 50 cents a day became $1. $1 became $3. And then I started using trial reels on Instagram, which is imperative. Imperative, listen to me, imperative that people use trial reels. Basically, Instagram has set up a new feature where you can post a video, but you can select it as a trial reel. And this is crazy because if you select it as a trial reel, it goes to people that don't follow you. So people that follow you won't see it in their feed and in their grid, but it just pushes it out to people that don't. So you can basically use it as A/B testing.
That's pretty
right?
crazy.
You can basically just test ideas. And so if you think, okay, that video, got this new idea that I want to do for a video, but I'm not quite sure if it works. You can post it as a trial reel, see how it performs, and then you can just cross it over to your main account.
Mad.
So what I've done, and I've seen other people do, is now people are posting all of their most successful videos sometimes as trial reels out to other people. They're gaining new attention, but they're also experimenting and crossing it over. The reason I say that is because trial reels are also auto-posting to Facebook. So,
wow, okay.
Mate, I posted that video of Paddy Pimlet the other day.
Oh, no-brainer that is, isn't it?
Because I posted more Paddy Pimlet because the video of me and him doing the Food Fights episode, they were my best performing videos on Facebook. So I thought, okay, let me post more. I posted a breakdown of that training beef that he had in Manchester.
Oh, yeah.
Boom. 300,000 views or something like that on Facebook, which is a lot for me. And then it earned me like $50 or something. And I was thinking, okay, that $1 a day became 3, and the 3 become 5, and the 5 become 10, and now the 10's on 12, and now the 12 is nearly pretty much 15 on average. And I've only just started putting a little bit more effort into it. And it really is residual. And because the back end is so good, and you can auto schedule up to 50 reels at a time, I'm completely flooding that with all of my content on an auto schedule once a week, having 50 reels, and then you can select it where it auto schedules 2 a day for you automatically. And it's like chipping away in the background like this. And I'm going on that every day and I'm thinking,
I need to figure that out. But with long form, I just need to know if that translates.
It's even better on long form. The CPMs are just high. It's the same as YouTube for all intensive purposes. This is what my friend actually told me about Facebook originally. The reason I didn't get into it too much at the start is actually the highest CPMs are on 3+ minute videos. So they actually index very well. So 5-minute videos, 6-minute videos, or things like that.
30 minutes?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I need to look into.
I don't know.
I'll have a look.
But I know that 3 minutes is then when the advertising cutoff is, and then the CPMs become higher. So people are watching horizontal, longer form videos on Facebook for 5 minutes or so. So I've started to post more of those, but it just so happens that the shorts, they're doing pretty decent. So I thought it was a no-brainer as well. But it looks like all our camera equipment's probably going to shut down in a second. So it's probably a good place to wrap up anyway. And it's been a while since we've had a conversation, but it's been good to get back in the booth and have another chat. I'm sure we'll catch up before the next pay-per-view. We're going to try and start by having one every pay-per-view, and then make sure we get the short form clips out to you guys as well. So you'll be seeing less of us, but a lot more of us in the same vein as well. So this has been the MMA Creators Podcast. I've been Will. This has been Leo. And as always, keep it casual.